to our another topic, gentlemen, in the interest of time. But you can keep those comments coming in. Let's talk about the cabinet, few amendments that were made in cabinet. President Museven, I said, in my opinion, Dr. Gerard Wanzala, I said, President Museven did an extension of the fishermen cabinet he appointed in 2021. What do you see?
Apple, I think I largely agree with your comment that there was an extension of the fishermen cabinet, because if you look at the size, for instance, I think we have 81 ministers.
Yes, true.
And so out of those, we saw that there were changes in only 5 were dropped and then replaced with 5. But and then the top, what you would call the top cream of the fishermen's cabinet, all stayed intact. So basically, in reality, there was very little change. But what the observations I can make is that one, he promised to take political action on those who stole the iron sheets or who presided over the stealing of Mabati, and those have been dropped. So I think he came clear on that. My only disappointment is that there is one of the people under prosecution. I think that is the Honorable Amos Lugolo.
Retained.
So I don't know whether his promise was to zero down on those who were in charge of direct supervision. But I would think that you retaining the Ministry of Planning, Finance, in charge of planning, when you are in the dock for suspected stealing because of iron sheets that were recovered from your goat's house, I think it was not in order. But I understand President Museven cares more about his politics, and you see Kayunga area, Mukono is a boiling point. And now, since we don't have the Honorable Nataba in cabinet, probably I can believe the Honorable Lugolobi was retained for that purpose.
Wow.
And I will not be surprised probably if 2 are convicted, probably Chitutu and Nandutu, and maybe Lugolobi is acquitted. Because sometimes the way the inspectorate operates, even our courts of law, they behave like a walking stick of someone where you direct them to step here and there. So, and then the other that I think Richard predicted here rightly, if we played back what we were discussing, was that there was going to be some strengthening of the MK's support in cabinet. And if I look at the new people who came, Nyamtoro has been escorting all these barazas. Lydia Nabar,
Baram
Sabafulu, Balam. You can see that Pilar or PLU has entered the cabinet.
Yeah, true.
And of course, the president went to cement it all by appointing the chairman of PLU
CDF
as the CDF. So I think for any reasonable Ugandan with a reasonable mind can see where the direction of this.
And what is that direction?
I think succession is on. If you're Ugandan who is waiting for succession to fall from heaven, please, you better wake up. There are all signals that succession is going, and there is a preference of the head of state for succession to go in a certain direction.
Quickly,
I think that is towards the general MK.
Okay. Your observations, Richard, and a section of Ugandans think that possibly this was about dismantling PLU. Others think it was about dismantling PLU because if you deploy, to cabinet, all the commanders. Because now Balam Bargahal, I think he was the chairman of Western. Then Kasoro already was in cabinet for Greater Buganda. Then now you have Lelia Nabar. You have it is even the chairman of MK and the PLU is deployed as the CDF. Some people think this is was dismantling, start from there. Or demobilizing.
Okay. First, I want to breathe in.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to breathe in, and in the middle of the night, somebody called me and said, we had a discussion last week after another talk show, and he said, what do you think? And I was saying, you see, there are two options, in my view, to the president. Because what I say is, you see, this thing, when people meet me and they say, you see, you have inside information, I don't have inside information. I always declare openly on every television and radio station I go to that I am a Musevenist.
Oh.
Yes, I think we should have a study in Musevenism. I always, the man is a phenomenon himself.
Really?
Yes. I think, you see, the things the man has done, you need to study him. There is, you can think.
What's so special has he done in
No,
this
no.
cabinet?
You see,
This
I always tell you that if you told Agaba here, I would like to believe Agaba you have younger brothers. Oh, if you had younger brothers, and somebody came and told you to remove your brother from senior two, that you take him from secondary school and you take him to go and be a rebel in Mozambique. Agaba, I am sure you would sit back and say, I have met a madman. That is what precisely President Museven did with Salim Saleh. So, you see, everyone was telling us here that you can't go in Somalia. President Museven deployed the NRA in Somalia. The NRA went and removed a president in Congo. And we installed a president from here. His son, who was a night club here music and became president. Here, the boys who came and overthrew government here went across. We were having dinner the other day, on the other weekend.
In Ichigali.
In Ichigali. So you see, if you sit and you do not see. So first I want to congratulate the people whom I predicted would be in cabinet. Here on this very platform, I said they are going to be in cabinet. It is not because I have inside information. It is because I just observe.
Between the lines.
I just observe and I am not afraid to share my predictions. I don't want to come and say, oh, you see, I had thought about it. I say it here. So I want to congratulate them. I think they were very brilliant in reading the situation and positioning themselves around General Moses Kainerugaba. When General Moses Kainerugaba becomes CDF, you cannot keep him as a lieutenant general. You have in effect made him a full general. No. And certainly that promotion is coming.
He was promoted. He was promoted.
Yeah,
to general.
Yeah, but you see, so you see, these things, how do you go about them? Why, for me, and why I credit General Moses Kainerugaba is that he was obstinate in this particular issue. He was obstinate. He was discouraged from making Parao. He was discouraged. He was obstinate on that line. So when people start talking about removing the fuse from the generator, because the generator insisted on being a generator. Yeah.
You agree with Dr. Werihe that this is indeed a road, toward the succession?
I haven't said that. General Moses Kainerugaba have already insisted, must fight to succeed.
Oh.
Yes, he must show, he must prove.
And that is what he has been doing.
Must prove to my leader, my gorilla, that he's capable of sitting in there. From that gorilla man, you don't get anointment without showing that you are capable of withstanding the fight. Yes. So that one he has to do. He's been trying to do that. Let me tell you the one thing that I predicted wrong. That one I must confess also. Is that Moses Kainerugaba would be CDF. When we were having a conversation last week, I said the president has two options. One, he has to go into cabinet or be CDF, because he had already gone through all the ranks. But I said my prediction is that he would go to cabinet. start running running politics, because he really hasn't done politics. And if you are going to make him a political leader, he needs to have political experience. So when you tell me that you are dismantling, I don't think people have never been farther from the truth. If you were dismantling PLU, you instead, if you are taking away Prao from the Rusania, you would instead take the ministers who have been running around with the chairman of Prao, the chef, I call him the chef, the Prao chef. You would take away those ones who have been in cabinet. You would drop them.
Frank Mwebaze,
Kasoro, whatever. You would drop them. That is how you deconstruct and demobilize. When you bring the ones who have been outside the cabinet and you put them in cabinet, you are resourcing them, first of all, politically.
You are equipping
because you see, I have seen, it was one talk show I was watching, where somebody asked, for us, we are here as MPs, you go Riongani. Talk show and Riongani. That question is not going to arise again.
Yeah, he's now a minister, state minister.
So they have been given public resources more openly. Now they are no longer going to be hiding. They are going to be getting allowances, public cars, bodyguards, everything. But you are not demobilizing them. You are resourcing them.
Can they continue with their activities like we've been seeing?
But so what were the activities?
Mobilization campaigns and...
They are going to continue more legitimately.
Really?
Absolutely. They are going to be entrenched.
With their chairman?
They are going to be more senior. You see, this is where I said, you can pray back. I said, there is no way General Mhozkenerugawa is going to appear with his father on a ballot box. I have been saying that. I said, if the people who understand the generator thought that the generator was to be on the same ballot box with the father, then the generator has mananas. It has no fuel. There is no way that was going to happen. I have been very consistent on that one.
True.
So to say that was going to happen was not going to happen. But to say that they have been dismantled, you have never been further away
from the truth.
Okay. What the president has done, I think, was after the reorganization of the army, he has positioned somebody whom he's absolutely sure about will guard the 2026 election for him. And after that, like all the CDFs have been doing, he will go to cabinet.
Thank you. Viewers, you can send in your comments once again on this particular issue. Tell us what you think about this cabinet. Few amendments here and there, but really you can feel and observe that there is it is strategic in one way or another. These changes were strategic in one way or another. Marlon Agaba, you can give your observation on this cabinet, and more so, I want you to speak from the context of corruption and fighting corruption, because the Mawati thieves have been dropped, so-called Mawati thieves have been dropped from cabinet.
Well, thanks very much. I think, like Richard said, President Museven is the master of this game called politics in Uganda, and we see him here shooting several birds with one bullet. When I look at the cabinet and the few changes that were made, one, I look at what Jaya talked about, succession and exposure of the son. Because when you look at the position of the CDF, it's a very senior position and very strategic. And I think it is part of the continuing process of grooming and preparation.
Really?
And I think most likely after that, like I said, going into mainstream government would be the next in terms of exposure and grooming him. So that is one. Secondly, I also look at it in terms of preparation for 2026 elections. When you look at the other key players, I think the Electoral Commission was sorted. We are waiting to see what will come for police, parliament, the opposition parties. We are seeing in a way they are also sorted. So if you have also the army sorted, so I see that also as a preparation for the elections coming up, and of course also the other changes, other people who would have maybe been an obstacle to Mhozi's role as CDF. You see the changes that came through in the army. So that is the second one. The third aspect I see him working on, of course, is the whole aspect of PLU, the Patriotic League, becoming now more mainstream.
Really?
And actually giving it some form of legitimacy. Because we are looking at it as an offshoot, but I don't think now it is a group you will take lightly or seriously.
Because now it has cabinet ministers.
Given the kind of
in charge of it.
The elevation has given them. Of course, I am not sure whether they continue with the mobilization the way it has been. Maybe it may be underground or it may take different forms. But I think this also gives them the legitimacy as one of the forces that we need to look up to as we are going into 2026. And then, of course, the fourth point is to create a semblance that thinking that he's serious about fighting corruption by dropping Chitutu and Nandutu from cabinet, which to me I don't think so. I don't think that really President Museven is very serious about fighting corruption. I don't think that is his biggest objective right now. He's really playing his politics and playing the politics quite well. But just like in several other corruption scandals, there have always been sacrificial lambs. In Chogam, there were people who were sacrificed and had to go away. When you look at PRDP, they talk about Kazinda, but there are so many people. Because these are syndicates, you have about the pension billions, we had Ramafa and a few others. There are always people who are sacrificed when such scandals come up. But you see, when he made a statement some time back and he told us to stay tuned to the channel for the changes, in a way I expected drastic changes. I actually had thinking that maybe the president now is serious about fighting corruption. But when you look at the kind of what happened, so it's in a way it is to hoodwink Ugandans that yes, I'm fighting corruption, but broadly I don't think that really the president is really so much interested in corruption. That is not his biggest objective, and the cabinet and the changes, I think it in a way it's a continuation of the same system. When you look at the people who are implicated, somebody talked about Rogorobi, who even iron sheets were found on his farm, roofed, and there was even forced to remove them. Some of them even actually returned what they had taken. So, and most of them have actually been retained. Talked about a launch that is going to be happening in eastern Uganda. I don't know whether it is a launch of corruption or whatever, but so to me, I think he has managed to shoot 4 birds with one bullet, and I think we, in a way, also give him credit that he's a master of what he does.
All right, viewers, we continue with the debate, but we only have like 15 minutes at least for this show. Dr. Jeredwedo Ansala, the list, the amendments, do you think they are for the better? Because we talked about a milestone of attaining lower middle income. Does this cabinet give hope that things may get better anyway?
Well, Apollo, first of all, if I was given a chance to make decisions in this country, I wouldn't think that I would need all those ministers, because there is a time, one of the most efficient governments we ever had in Uganda, up to 1971, in terms of service delivery, had very few ministers, because ministers play a political role of supervision, but we have the technocrats who should be held accountable because they are the accounting officers. That is why even in these scandals in Parliament, well, I condemn the political leadership, but there's also a problem with the technical leadership of Parliament. I'm telling you, at the time of former clerk to Parliament, Tandekwire, Tandekwire. Chibige was sacked in public interest by the president, because the president thought she had been swallowed by the speaker then, Rebecca Kadaga, you know, and the same thing is happening at the time. That even a former minister of defense who was deployed there cannot tame the commission, cannot tame the leadership. in terms of disbursing public money. Well, for me, why I'm saying that, no matter these changes, I don't think it will, because we have developed a system where when you are made a minister, you celebrate that you have been given to go and eat. I have mentioned it here severally, that you find even the headline saying, Buganda eats big, or Busoga eats big. So they look at that as not responsibility, but an avenue for you to earn more money. So basically, I don't see any changes. And then two, the politics of balancing, I don't know, religion, of course it is necessary, but also they blot the numbers. So money, I would do a simple mathematics. If you have a minister for TESA affairs, last time I was looking at their budget, okay? Then you got look at the ministry, the ministry's budget. You have 2 cars for the minister, 600 million. Then you have fuel for the minister to go and tour the place, about maybe 400 million a year. Then you look at maintenance of the cars and the allowances for the driver. So you find that in 5 years, a minister for TESA affairs has spent money which would have gone to build a health facility for women in the same place. So this is useless, okay? These agitations, we need to turn around the whole governance system.
But you see, if your fellow panelists were actually talking about the President Museven, the genius, that how he has done his things in a way of a genius, and possibly that speaks to what you're saying.
Maybe from the perspective of political survival,
that somehow
survival,
he has,
it serves the purpose. But in terms of impacting on service delivery,
that's true.
It is different. You look at how we are dividing the districts, constituencies. If a place has a woman MP, you have created a district, a smaller place to have a woman MP. I would rather have that money build schools in the same place instead of having someone who just hanging around the Kampala pretending to be representing
you say,
and coming back to
you say
nothing
much, you don't expect much to change in terms of service and improvement.
I think politically we seem to be reaching where we call a point of no return. You know, Ugandans forget very fast. When MK started the birthday things, and then he invited the president of Rwanda, the president was addressing at that birthday party, and he said, during my regime, I have been soft on you, the corrupt people. But during Mhozi's time, he's very serious. You guys will not marry. So that statement to me showed me that probably the president is reaching down where he's giving up and thinks
he gave up
the son who will now change things. So for me, that is a way of laying of withdrawing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, our viewers. Let me look at your comments. And he says, those who are saying that PLU has been weakened are just dreaming. To the contrary, these guys were tactically positioned for the next presidency. See below the SWOT analysis. Remember?
Of course, he's mainstreaming.
Yeah. The commander-in-chief said that all the powers, administration, and command of all armed forces in Uganda is now vested in the CDF. You remember?
Yeah.
And in the most African countries, CDF matters a lot. More so political transition. So Mr. Museven is wise Jama. One day he would wake up, he could wake up and say there is a coup so that the PLO leader and CDF takes charge. Secondly, CDF could soon join the cabinet as either a minister or even a vice president. Hence, Museven retires, and then according to the constitution, the VP always usually takes over. So that is also very likely. Thirdly, there are very many scenarios that favor General Muhoozi in the cabinet reshuffle, etc., etc. Thank you so much, Major Joel Tim, and thank you so much for these brilliant observations. We really treasure your comments and observations. Let's wind up. We have like 10 minutes. Richard?
No, there is a phrase that many times when people greet me, I respond to. I say 2 things. One, How are you? No change.
Oh.
Yeah, you know that. That's usually my my response. Oh, Mr. Ogma, how is life? No change. And then when they probe, I say I can't complain.
Yeah.
Those are usually my responses to greetings. That's the same thing in this.
There's no change.
It's the same thing in this situation. There is no change. It is. You see, when you are in a workshop, at least let me say, the viewing elite might understand a workshop or a wedding of these parties. The people who cook usually bring the same food buffet. You can predict what will be there. So when you go to another place, people tell you, the food there was very sweet. I say, okay, tell me what was there. It was rice, chapati, matoke, and suju. I say, okay. So did they import the sweet potatoes from elsewhere? It is the same buffet that you find. However, it's just timing.
Oh.
Timing. For a master gorilla like my president, the timing is always.
He delayed.
No, he didn't delay. The timing was right.
I'm saying.
And the changes were timed to all come at a go. Let me tell you, Apollo, the other thing I don't fear to predict is that the other groups who were not in position to be put in cabinet because they are not ready. They are not cabinet ready. Some of these groups around the General Muhozi were relatively moribund and not ready for really. Even if you wanted to put them in cabinet, it would be too ridiculous. Even they would be below fishermen. Maybe they would be, I don't know, sinking people. But they are going to be positioned. You are going to see them getting into government positions.
So
I am here with you.
Can you predict that before now and
before 2026? Yes.
There will be another cabinet.
No, these people are going to be positioned into public positions that gives them resources to keep relevant, to keep in the public eye, but to keep mobilizing the way they have been mobilizing.
There is something you did not predict. The dropping or the sacking of the people implicated in the Mabati scandal. Because you said, if I can recall, you called it a show off. That no, this is a show off for cameras.
Agaba has just told you that's what it is. I didn't speak with Agaba. I don't even think he watched.
But they have been sacked.
I don't think there was even. He has told you, and he has mentioned the names over the years. The people who will remain part of the show. I told you they will be arrested for the cameras. They will be prosecuted for the cameras and the media and the social media. Nothing more.
So they have been sacked for the cameras also?
Absolutely. It's a continuation of the show. That Professor Kenya is the one who ate money for Chogam. And you want me to believe that, and then he goes to put on prison uniform.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. To me, in my opinion, PRU and NRM are the same group. Appointment of General Muhozi as a CDF is an extension of the leadership of President Museven. It is not dismantling PRU because they are the same. Thank you so much. Let me check if I can get your names from the status. Nowhere. It is higedidennis@gmail.com. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. Maluna Gala. Finally, what do you expect from these changes?
I think one, moving forward, especially heading into the next elections, I think us from the civil society perspective, we usually talk about the civic space that is shrinking. I think we are going to continue seeing that. We need to tighten up more and more, given these changes that are coming up. I saw people are already scared of General Muhozi, that has been ruthless in other instances. I mean, what will happen when it becomes CDF? I think moving forward, that's what you're going to see. I think, secondly, also heading up to the next elections, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but like I said, I think it's also going to be no change. I don't see anything changing. Corruption, of course, is going to keep manifesting, especially political corruption. where politicians are bribed openly and nothing much is done. Like recently, you heard about the 100 million bonanza members of parliament we are getting. That is going to happen more. But what I expect and what I hope is that I think as citizens we really need to get involved in this entire drive. We really need to do our work. And initiatives like the exhibitions that have been going on, they are quite good. And I think the more people that come on board and the more people that join the fight, I think we'll be able to make some headways. Yeah.
Thank you. As we wind up, Dr. Jeda Wansala, your final comment?
This is to those who think we are targeting them personally. This is not personal. And
have you received the threats already?
2 weeks back, when we discussed vigorously here these issues around Parliament, actually I spent the weekend a little terrified because there's a place where I go watch football, colleagues, and meet friends. When I was leaving, a car trailed me. I ended up passing my gate and taking off using another gate, taking another route and passing. And then I had to call my wife and come back second round. So it kind of terrified me, and I think people should not use this to fool others and then to threaten, to intimidate. It is absolutely wrong because every dog has its day.
Richard?
No, why it is important the public gets involved and we keep mobilizing. Why it is important that we do try as much as possible to do the little that we can do to expand the number of people who are part of this is that eventually you reach a breaking point. There is always a breaking point. We don't know what that will mean for us as a group and as individuals. It could cause destruction, but people will reach a breaking point. But for now, Apollo, let's eat our buffet as served by Pilau and Chief Chef and what. There is not going to be much changing from that direction.
Okay, and someone here said, Bonabe Bamu, nothing has changed, and he calls himself, he addresses himself as ex-convict. Thank you so much for that observation. He thinks the changes in President Museveni's cabinet are just the same and the same thing. Maron, can you make your concluding remarks?
I think in a conclusion, you see, fighting corruption is first of all it's you as an individual, you decide that I want to fight corruption. It's personal conviction. And each individual, there is something they can do when it comes to fighting corruption. You can say no to bribery. You can refuse being bribed. And I think really we need to start with us as an individual. Self-reflection and saying no and doing what is right. I think that is quite important, and I think also talked about it. Starts with us. And I think that will go a long way in terms of helping, but also getting involved. I mean, talking about Agatha and Spire and the young people on social media, but all of us actually can be a Spire or someone who is doing some good work, because all of us have phones, can access internet. So I think if each and every one of us did a thing or two, I think it will go a long way in terms of helping and changing the course that we are taking as a country. And by the way, that is also a civic responsibility. Article 17 bestows upon each and every citizen the responsibility of fighting corruption. I think that is Article 17(1)(I). Each and everybody has a responsibility to fight corruption. Let each and everyone do one or two things. I think that will help. Really.
Thank you so much, our viewers, and thank you so much for your time. It's been great having you as an audience. Thank you so much, the production team, right from the camera people and the control room. Thank you so much, my panel, Dr. Jeda Wansala, who is threatened, and I don't know.
Who has to drive past his gates and then call his wife and also panic his wife.
You know it can happen. You can leave a talk show like it's at night at 10 p.m. You reach home, you reach your gate,
Yeah.
and you are seeing people that are conspicuous that you cannot understand. So you have options. Either you don't want to endanger people in the home, so you may drive back and see where you're coming from. You may try other options. So what he's going through is real.
Let me hope he will summon the courage to return again next Saturday and speak the same things.
We
But
shall not give up the fight, of course.
but we have Richard Baguma, who has never been threatened.
That is an insider-outsider.
No, you see, when you talk about the threats, I never talk about the threats openly because I don't want to embolden the threaters, the threateners.
Okay.
So I never give them platform. But you know, you receive a message on your phone.
Thank you so much, Manu Nagawa, the Executive Director for Anti-Corruption Coalition Uganda. Thank you so much for your time. We must say it's an exciting time we have had with you. Let's catch up again next Saturday in another edition of The Big Show, The Dialogue. God bless you and God bless